In today's review, we will take a closer look at the third and final entry to Peter F. Hamilton's expansive Nightstone trilogy set in his Confederation universe, namely The Naked God, which was published in the year 1999. It is the quote-unquote shortest novel of the trilogy, just shy of 1200 pages. The events in The Naked God follow directly after the plot of The Neutronium Alchemist, thus sharing similar values with regards to the various semi-objective figures of merit. As a result, The Naked God has to be categorized as soft science fiction / science fantasy, set in a gigantic narrative universe, which is once again enhanced even further in this novel. It still introduces interesting and intriguing new ideas and boasts a large list of veteran and new main and side characters, which is unsurprisingly appropriate for this type of expansive narrative universe. Similar to both novels preceding it, The Naked God has no awards nor any award nominations to its name. However, it was able to garner quite some popular attention and support, as evidenced by a combined user rating of 4.2 out of 5 stars, which is based on tens of thousands of reviews on sites like Goodreads, LibraryThing and Amazon. Similar to all the previous novels, there are no indications for any kind of adaptations of the trilogy yet. The Naked God is, as mentioned, a direct continuation of the events that transpired during the reality dysfunction and the Neutronium Alchemist. Thus, the following plot recap and parts of the review might contain major spoilers regarding these two novels specifically. You have been warned, so continue at your own peril. The Confederation tried to enforce a complete halt on interstellar travel, isolating any planet or habitat afflicted by the possessed, thus hoping to reduce the amount of lost settlements to only a few. However, attempts to breach this quarantine, either by the possessed themselves or simply by smugglers hoping to rake in fat profits, result in the spread of the possessed to new locations. Furthermore, dealing with the possessed becomes complex for military forces, as eliminating the possessor also leads to the demise of the possessed victim, creating an unprecedented hostage crisis in human history. This grim reality begins to erode morale even further. Ultimately, the Kulu Kingdom, which is fiercely opposed to the use of biotechnology, forms an unexpected alliance with their ideological rivals, the Edenists. Their goal is to reclaim the Morton-rich peninsula on the colony world Ombe from the possessed, thus offering proof that victory is indeed possible, an important glimmer of hope for the whole of humanity. At the same time, the most infamous returnee among the possessed, Al Capone, utilizes his organizational skills to conquer and transform the planet New California into the heart of an expanding empire, known simply as the Organization. The Confederation Navy faces significant challenges in containing the spread of the organization and to maintain the quarantine. However, there is still hope in these dark times. Information gained from the alien Terathka reveals that a powerful spaceborne entity referred to as the Naked God might be able to resolve the possession crisis. Furthermore, the technologically highly advanced Kiint report that this kind of crisis will eventually challenge any sentient species, and that humanity needs to find its own solution to it. And indeed, efforts, both technologically and scientifically, are being made to overcome this existential threat once and for all. Similarly to the Neutronium Alchemist, The Naked God continues with a focus on military science fiction, political intrigue, spy games, and a quite interesting apocalyptic setting, this time mainly on Earth itself. Indeed, the rather odd phenomenon of possession that started at the very edge of a backwater colony has now reached the center of humanity. However, the narrative of a descent or downfall, for lack of a better term, is not just limited to the events on Earth, but also to several of the factions that dominated the plot in the Neutronium Alchemist and still do during The Naked God. Some with a more optimistic, some with a rather grim resolution. Furthermore, Peter F. Hamilton adds to The Naked God some quite imaginative and interesting narrative threads, more related to exploration beyond the known frontiers of humanity, both in terms of location, but also in terms of the understanding of reality, which sets it apart from the previous two novels who lacked this kind of subplots. Overall, The Naked God is a captivating, worthy concluding entry to the Nightstone trilogy, and the various plots and character arcs are more or less finished competently. In my personal view, The Naked God still exhibits some weaknesses specifically related to some of its characters. Again, mostly Quinn Dexter as a one-dimensional deranged villain comes to mind here. In contrast, Louise as a character grew on me during The Naked God. Plot-wise, there are some aspects related to the governmental structure on Earth that are also somewhat unconvincing, to put it mildly. However, I will discuss this specific issue, as well as several other points, in more detail in a dedicated, spoiler-ridden retrospective of the entire trilogy. So stay tuned. As a final comment, it should be noted that Peter F. Hamilton has occasionally hinted at returning to the Confederation universe in future books in the form of a sequel series set up to 500 years after the events of the trilogy. But up to now there are no further developments in this direction. Even though it might technically still be a story in the Confederation universe, it would have to be told in a vastly different and changed setting, owing to the events that transpired in The Naked God. In the end, we will have to just wait and see where this will take us. If you liked this video, you may also enjoy the other reviews and content on my channel. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to discuss the novels or if you want to suggest other books that I should review in the future. Please consider upvoting and subscribing, it is much appreciated. Thank you for watching and until next time.